Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's scope. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, peace to all to see, for joining me once again. Welcome to tonight's Periscope. So tonight, I am so excited to be with you because it is the third evening of a series that I have been doing on female sexuality, and specifically tonight's topic will be around satisfaction, right? So we discussed three major issues that women face, right? Difficulty with orgasm, difficulty with desire, and difficulties with experiencing satisfaction. So tonight we are going to wrap up this series with talking a little bit more about how to really experience a deep sense of satisfaction in our intimate lives. So for those of you who are just joining, thank you for joining. If you're new, please let me know that you're new. I invite you all to share with your followers, with your friends on Facebook and Twitter, so that we can get as many viewers and expand the sexuality power community here on Periscope. Also, for those of you who are new, my name is Denise. I am your sexuality expert and guide into empowerment and really living the life that you want to experience, both sexually and spiritually, and really creating and manifesting everything that you desire. Thank you, Zoraida, for joining, love. Hi. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Tonight is all about satisfaction, and I am so excited to be bringing this topic to you. As you know, how better to experience our sexuality than through really having a deep sense of satisfaction. So I did mention satisfaction throughout the other two scopes. So if you did not catch that, catch it on my Catch Me, right? So it's katch.me/sexualityexpert. So if you go to my Catch Me page, there you will find actually all of my videos from day one available for you to view. I would strongly recommend that you all go on there and watch whichever ones you want, because soon I will be actually making them private so that I can use them for other purposes. So do watch them while they are available. So here we go. Tonight's topic is satisfaction, and really I want to share 3 points in addition to everything that I've shared over the past 2 nights. And the first point that I want to talk about is communication, right? And it begins with communicating with yourself, right? So really going inward and seeing what is it that you need out of your sexual experience. Like what are you looking for to experience, right? Because if we're not clear about what our experience, what we need from that experience, it's very, hola Jorge, it's very hard for us to be able to express that and communicate that with our partners. So the first step in communication is really self-reflection and really getting to know what your needs are sexually, right? The second part of communication is communicating with our partners, right? So know what you want first. Yes, know what you want first, right? Because a lot of times, if we don't know what we want, we can't communicate that to our partner. And I learned this specifically through like my love language, right? It's like, well, I'm a physical touch, that's my love language, versus, my partner might have been words of affection. Right, or words of appreciation. And if I'm trying to give him love the way I receive love, it's not going to work for him, right? So he might not be having his needs met, versus I feel like I am meeting his needs, right? Because I'm expressing love to him. But it's not in the way that they need it. And the same thing goes for us. Sometimes we need things to be sent to us or given to us in a specific way. And if we're not clear about what that is, the person is going to do it the way that they feel, and the way that they receive, right? So really being clear about what you want and communicating that with our partners. And when we're communicating, we want to be playful, right? So many times, like, we get too serious when talking about sex. And yes, it is something that should be taken seriously. And, you know, it is something that should be taken seriously. However, we want to ensure that it's not overly serious, because then that actually takes out the excitement of the conversation, right? It should be a conversation that really builds to the moment, right? Rather than like makes it a heavy experience. So keep it playful, keep it very adventurous, right? And that's really gonna begin to create that desire, that excitement that we need to really tap into all of that energy and that connection with our partner during the act. So that's the communication piece. The second part is, before each and every single act, we want to have clear expectations that both parties set, right? So sometimes you want to have an orgasm. Sometimes the goal is for your partner to have an orgasm and not you. It's not about you sometimes, right? So really setting clear expectations and clear goals for every session, because one of the things that I have come to realize with my clients is that if we don't have clear goals for each session, then we do not know what satisfaction means. Like, we don't know when it's been accomplished, right? It's like you might have an idea, and if it's not verbalized and then your expectation isn't met, then it's like, oh, well, that wasn't what I wanted. And you realize it after the fact, right? So we really want to set those intentions, set an intention with your partner on what you want to walk away with after that session, right? I want to feel more connected to you. And what does that look like? What does connection feel like? It might mean, you know, I want to try to have an orgasm at the same exact time, because having an orgasm at the same exact time makes me feel really connected to you in that moment, right? It makes me feel like we're synchronized. That might be the experience you're seeking, and you're very clear about why you're seeking it. So clarity is super, super, super important. We want to have as much clarity as to the goals, the expectations, and what we want it to be like, right? What do we want to experience, right? It might be, I want a very sensual experience. And that looks like a massage, candles, petals on the bed, right? So really creating the experience together, right? So you might say, I want candles, I want a massage, and I want petals. And they might say, well, I really enjoy also chocolate. So can we add chocolate to the mix, right? And then it becomes a combined experience, right? Because it's not just about you, it's also about them. Thank you, Anita, Terry, for inviting your friends and followers, and thank you for joining. Thank you all. And thank you for all the hearts. I feel so much love coming through on tonight's scope, and I heart you all back. So setting those clear expectations, having that communication, it is so, so important in our satisfaction. And as I discussed in a previous scope this week, for women, connection actually is a way for us to feel a deeper sense of satisfaction. So we want to feel intrinsically connected to our partners, right? We want to feel that deep bond, and that is satisfying and gratifying for us. So a good way to do that is through communication, right? Through having set goals and set expectations, and really also talking about the experience after the fact, right? So after you actually have sex, talking about and having a moment, and this is the third tip I wanted to share with you, having a joint moment of gratitude, right? Maybe it happens when you're cuddling, but really coming together and saying like what went well, right? Like not focusing, maybe there was a moment of uncomfortability and you could talk about that later, but immediately after you want to talk about what was gratifying, what made you feel good, what are you super grateful that happened during that interaction, right? I'm super grateful that, when I was like, don't stop, you didn't stop, right? That you were hitting the right spot at the right time, and it was mind-blowing, right? I was very grateful that you followed the instructions when I was like, bite my neck and pull my hair or whatever it is that turns you on, right? You wanna be as clear about what you're grateful for about the experience, and that does two things. It puts you in a space of gratitude, and gratitude is actually one of the highest vibrating emotions, right? It has such a high vibration. So automatically you are going to be on an energetic high just from giving that gratitude, and you're already physically, because of the hormones, on a mental high, right? So you're going to just elevate yourself even more by living in that gratitude. And two, it's actually going to bring your attention to the things that work and the things that you want to continue to amplify and magnify in your interactions. So that is a practice of gratitude with your sexuality, right? A practice of gratitude with your partner. So those are the things that really, for me, increase our sense of satisfaction, right? There's things that are associated with orgasm and really feeling orgasm, but too, with orgasm, I want to be clear that we need to stop focusing so much on orgasm. It's important, but we also need to enjoy the experience, enjoy the sensations that come about, right? Not every time will we have an orgasm, but we need to accept that that is okay. There's this assumption or expectation that, sex isn't gratifying unless there's an orgasm, and that's actually a disservice to us, right? Because it's not always about the orgasm. It's about that connection that we experience during the act, during that time together, that bonding, the intimacy that we can experience can be profound, more profound and satisfying than the orgasm itself. So really being clear about that with yourself and managing those expectations around orgasm, because that's not always the goal. It's a great, cherry on top if it happens every single time, but it doesn't have to. And the experience can still be a rewarding experience. It could be one of the most rewarding experiences you've had without ever having an orgasm. So I know one other thing that I wanted to share with you all is there's sometimes, in female sexuality, there's stages in our sexuality, right? There's stages in order to achieve an orgasm. And the stages are the following. There's first the excitement stage, right? And that, like I said in an earlier scope, begins way before the act of sex, right? And then once you engage in sex, the excitement builds and then you hit a plateau. And the plateau can last 5 minutes, 25 minutes, 40 minutes, right? And it's in this phase, in the plateau phase, where a lot of women become frustrated. and might experience a sense of dissatisfaction, right? So one of the things is, in this stage, when I talk about experience the sensations, this is the key stage to experience all of these sensations and really savor them. Like every single sensation going through your body, this is the moment to really savor it and just embody it, you know, like revel in it. Like just be one with that space, with those sensations. Because that's part of it. We're supposed to have a period of plateau where you're like, oh, I'm almost there. And then it's like 5 minutes later, I'm still almost there. And, you know, if you're constantly just focusing on the orgasm, you're focused on the orgasm and not on the actual sensations. So really let go of the expectation and just say, you know, right now I'm gonna ride this plateau out, right? I'm just gonna enjoy this plateau. And then after the plateau, that's when the orgasm hits, right? But if we're not experiencing fully present with that plateau phase, this is where a lot of women give up and just like, it just stops, and they stay with that like urge to release and to have an orgasm. And also they didn't enjoy that ride of plateau. So if you're focused on the end result and you're not enjoying the ride, you know, there is going to be a lot of frustration. But if you're enjoying the plateau, regardless of whether or not you get to an orgasm, you're still going to enjoy it. You're still going to experience a lot of pleasure and satisfaction from that. And then the last phase, and I'll do a separate scope entirely on, you know, the cycle of orgasm, but I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of information as to how satisfaction connects with the cycle. The last phase is the resolution, right? So once you orgasm, there's a coming down, right? For men, it's very different. They have a refractionary period where they can't be touched, and they kind of like pull back a little bit. Women can actually have a small resolution and continue going, right? So that's another huge tip that I want to share, that sometimes it's about experiencing, you know, multiple cycles, right? And instead of just one, because, you know, you have almost like a baby orgasm, right? And then it goes back up, right? Back up the excitement. The plateau happens again. The plateau might actually shorten the second time around. Sometimes it lengthens. So it just varies, right? You don't know what to expect. So there's excitement in that. And then the orgasm tends to peak higher the second time around because there's more sensitivity, there's more relaxation. So also experiment with that. Don't just have one orgasm, say, okay, that's it, it happened, result achieved, right? Like goal achieved. Really, you know, tap into your energetic body and say, like, is there more in me to be expressed in this moment, right? Is there more that needs to be unleashed? And really tap into that energy. So these are the points that I wanted to share with you all. I do want to pause because I know that I just talked about a lot of important topics in the last 3 nights. So I want to ask if you have any questions on any of the topics that I've discussed over the last couple of days. Please do ask now. I'll stay on for about another minute just to make sure that there are no questions, because I do want to honor everyone's time, and if you have questions, I want to honor them, because this is an interaction, right? This is meant to be educational and informative, but also if you have questions, this is a space where we can learn together and grow together and have fun together. So I will pause for a minute or two. Thank you for all the great info. You're welcome, Zoraida. Thank you for always being here. I love my lifers, and I'm so grateful to have you here every day with me. It really gives me so much energy and inspiration to keep doing my scopes and keep putting my work out there because I know that so many people are benefiting. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So I don't see any questions popping up. I'm going to take it that you are all processing the information. But if you ever have any questions, feel free to always tweet at me, Sexuality Expert, planning to practice your tips soon. Great. Let me know how it goes, love. I always like to hear testimonials, and I invite you all that if you do have a testimonial to share or you would like to share one, you can always do so here on Periscope. And if you'd like to share it, I also have a testimonials page that I'm developing for my website. So if you put any of my tips into practice and want to share that, I'd love to get a testimonial from you all. So until tomorrow night, I hope that you all have a very passionate Sunday evening, and I love you all. Thank you for always being here. Ciao.